Yes, in between, I was just hearing all the comments, and I do agree with Mr. Kauto that there's a high level of corruption, and this has been I think it's been one of the issues that has plagued politics all over. But in a small state like Nagaland, it becomes all the more pronounced. But coming back to the issue that we are talking about, the ENPO abstinence from the voting, I think there's been a long sense of neglect in this region, and but also at the same time, I think at the root of it, I feel that the governance or the politics in Nagaland, I think we are a society still transitioning from self governance, self village republics to a form of democracy and of a political system. And I think very often in that, lots of things have got lost in translation. And for me personally, I would see that the weakness of governance and of political parties and the system really lies with the lack of education of the voters, that we do not know what is the power of our vote. We cannot translate, we are unable to see what is the impact of one single vote in determining the destiny and the future of generations to come. And this has gone on, and unfortunately, in the past few decades, power and politics has come in, and it has really transformed the society, transformed not in a positive sense, but there seems to be an alienation that has come up where power now belongs to an elite class, and when you have access to this power strength, this power sector, then only can you sort of like go ahead. So, like what Kahuto said, like in the sense of the youth feeling this sense of knowing that this level of corruption is there, but being unable to break through. I think for me, it comes with really realizing, the power of the vote, and I think in that there's a lot of education of what the vote really means. So there is, I think, a lot of education. Yeah, so I think what we saw culminating in the abstinence of votings in 6 districts in Nagaland. Of course, this is not the first time that there has been polling boxes that have remained empty. We if we go back to the history of Nagaland, there has been a return of empty ballot boxes. But we're talking about since the creation of the state of Nagaland, this definitely is an unprecedented occurrence. And this is really, I feel, has been to draw attention to the plight of the situation, the lack of development and employment opportunities in this part of Nagaland, which is the eastern districts. So maybe you want to translate that, then I can say some more. I would, yeah, I don't want to give a monologue, but just very quickly, my thoughts on this. Uh, this this it may seem very strange for people on the outside of Nagaland to even imagine how can a state be so divided within itself. Eastern Nagas and the rest of Nagaland going to polls, Eastern Nagas not going to polls. But this, I would hope, is more a strategy than a feeling of complete alienation of the Eastern Nagas from the rest of Nagaland, because we have been through thick and thin together in all these decades. But uh, to to come back to this occurrence of the abstinence of voting and not participating in the parliamentary Lok Sabha elections this time is also everybody has had a role in this, in the sense that the Eastern Nagaland has, in the 60-member assembly, they have 20 members are part of the 60-member assembly, and Rajya Sabha members of representing Nagaland have more often than not been representatives from the Eastern Nagaland. So their leaders are also their representatives whom they have chosen have also equal responsibility towards development of this Eastern Nagaland. And I think it also matters, like we also need to take into account why there has been so little development that these leaders have been able to create in Eastern Nagaland. So, in terms uh, of the equation of power, uh, the representation of Eastern Nagaland is is not less from the other parts of Nagaland. They have also had representatives in the state assembly, and they have had also members of parliament in the Rajya Sabha from Eastern Nagaland. But uh, what has pushed the needle, I would say, is that the promises of that their demands would be looked into, and this continuous denial of the demands being met has led to this, or at least hearing of their demands has led to this situation. And I think it is actually, we could perhaps draw parallels to what is happening in Ladakh today, where the promises made to the Ladakis by the regime right now, the BJP, have not come to fruit, even though they have been promised a state in the last elections and the one before that, and it has come to this impasse right now in Ladakh. So similarly, the sentiments I think run very high in the Eastern Nagaland areas and amongst the Eastern Nagaland leaders, that uh, until they really cry out loud their their issues are not going to be addressed properly. So this, yeah, I mean, my I'm only just wondering what will take place now post these events, and of course, I don't know about Mr. Kahoto, but I think this was like a perhaps a bargaining point which the Eastern Nagas have arrived at, to have issues addressed within their which issues of development, of employment, of opportunities for their future generation to be addressed at the earliest, and in the best way possible, and to be an example really of what development and progress should look like for people.